Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com. And I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show.
We interrupt this broadcast. I haven't even started, right? But yes, I'm actually interrupting my broadcast before you hear any of it starting. I'm actually recording this intro segment after recording the main segment that you'll be hearing next. But I need to interrupt and mention, as I've said before, you know, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And indeed, this episode, I make mistakes. But it's part of the show, as I said, raw, uncut, complete with blemishes. I could re-record, the whole thing, but I'm not going to do that. Again, raw, uncut, I make mistakes. It's part of my honesty with you, the audience. There's mistakes in the show. What is the mistake? Well, despite growing up, one of my favorite books, I was a sci-fi lover, well, still am. I read The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert A. Heinlein. Now, say it's pronounced Heinlein, like A-I-N, like rain, but it's spelled Heinlein. But in my notes for recording the show, I made a typo and I put a K in there. So through the main segment, you'll hear me mispronouncing his name as Heinlein, a K instead of an L in there. And again, I'm still not even sure if Heinlein is right or if it's Heinlein. So my apologies. And please check out the Heinlein or Heinlein, HEINLEIN society.org. That will be in the show notes. I am a fan of his, even though I got his name wrong. Again, I apologize. You may know him for being the author of Starship Troopers, which there was a big deal. I said Moon is a Harsh Mistress was one of my favorite books growing up. And frankly, I wish they would make that a movie. I don't know why they haven't. If I had any say, I would make that a movie. But my apologies up front for the mistakes you're going to hear in the main segment coming up now. And if you're looking on BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, YouTube, normally I give you the behind-the-scenes sneak peek video completely raw and uncut. There are some cuts. I did cut it up to cut it down a bit, knowing that I need to now record this intro to segue in. And let's get on with the show. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 44, God and Guns Redo, or Part 2, if you will. Before I get into the show, for those of you looking on behind-the-scenes sneak peek on the BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, or YouTube channel, you see I'm wearing my Leonard, the man, the myth, the legend shirt. And yes, I wear that tongue-in-cheek for the benefit of those reading the transcript. I am laughing out loud at myself. No, I don't think I'm all that. It's a joke shirt. It's for fun. Used to wear it quite often on Savage Unfiltered, which I'm co-hosting far less than I did, but still co-hosting Savaged Unfiltered with Michael Gardner on occasion. And I used to wear the shirt because it would drive the fans of a competing, hateful, spiteful, envious, covetous people, that they don't want to work for anything. They want to steal everything from somebody else for them to have. At any rate, yes, I know, I did it again. I'm saying it again. One of these days, I got to try to get over that verbal crutch. But for now, at any rate, yes, Leonard, the man, the myth, the legend shirt, a rival to Savaged Unfiltered podcast that I'm also with. We call them the Clueless Nation. Hi, Clueless Nation! If any of you are tuned into ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, we think that show probably died off. It doesn't seem to be around anymore. They were trying to get their fame by attacking me and Michael, it seemed. So, hence, wearing the shirt my sister bought for me as a gag gift one birthday or whatever it was, to tweak that audience, I would wear the shirt. So if you're looking on ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, YouTube, BTSSP, behind the scenes sneak peek video, you can see I'm wearing that shirt. Tongue in cheek. Please don't get on the Twitter and all that. This Leonard guy thinks he's the next thing, or he thinks he's the second coming or something, or because believe me, yes, some react that stupidly to a joke shirt because they do take themselves far too seriously. Any rate, now what is that? I need an any rate count, so that's what we're up to 4 or 5 of those now in the show. An armed society is a polite society. Manners are good when one may have to back up his acts with his life. Robert A. Heinlein, as discussed on Trigger Talk Show, Saturdays, 11 Eastern Time to noon, and then there's a part 2 or a continuance, non-contiguous, from 1300, 1 p.m. Eastern Time to 2 p.m., 1400 Eastern Time, Saturdays. You could go to whamradio.com, listen live. I also usually call into Richard Clark Dietering has retired, so Moment of Clarity is gone. That used to be Saturday from 1 to 2 in the afternoon. Dick Kupke of Trigger Talk has taken over that hour for now to be a non-contiguous continuation of his show. And I always listen to Ed Bondarenka's Your American Heritage. Most of the Saturday shows, like 9 a.m. Eastern, Abolitionist Roundtable with Black conservative host Phil Stargell and co-host sidekick Bruce Fleury, the author of The Negro Project, all about Margaret Sanger, that founded Planned Slaughterhood to exterminate black children, and still does a pretty good job of that today, but the left is all on board with it. In fact, the NAACP, we at times protest outside the NAACP convention at Cobo Hall here in Detroit when they have it, because the NAACP, you would think it stands for National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Used to be a very conservative organization, was founded by abolitionist Republican whites and blacks back when, co-opted by the left now, but they funnel millions of NAACP funds to planned slaughterhood. How does that advance colored people if you're killing colored people? And for anyone who's upset, oh my God, the white guy is saying colored people. It's in the name. National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. If it's a problem, change the name of the organization. It should be the National Association for the Advancement of Communist People, because that's exactly really what it is now, an arm of the fascocrats. Gone way, way, way off track, down a rabbit hole here. I hope you're still tuned in. Hope you didn't tune out. Thank you. I'm going to get back on track here now. As I said, I did speak with Dick Kupke of Trigger Talk and how the left really doesn't care and actually must seem to want about a dozen on average more deaths per mass shooting incident. Yes, I'm reading this from my TLB associated correlating piece that's dropping. Also, Saturday, I'm looking at my calendar. April the 20th, the show and the article will be dropping. God and Guns Redo. Continuing to read, ignoring the stats and the reality for the unicorn fart fantasy of their delusion world where gun-free slaughter zones, which is what they are, feel good but do nothing, measures results. We need to measure results, and those results are, on average, 14. These are old stats from a few years ago, so I've not looked up the FBI.gov current exact decimal point, but it's about the same. On average, 14.3 mass casualties in a shooting, waiting on police to intervene. 2.3, a dozen left on average, where there are law-abiding Second Amendment supporters caring to be able to intervene, to intercede, and to stop the slaughter while the police, as the saying goes, when seconds matter, the police are minutes away, if not an hour, just to take the report and clean up the mess. So lawfully armed citizens save lives. Those are the facts. Facts matter. Facts don't care about your feeling, as the saying goes. So gun-free slaughter zones are just that. The criminals know they go to a gun-free zone because they know they will be able to kill more people before they're confronted by someone else with a gun to stop them. All this was discussed with Dick on Trigger Talk, as well as, of course, I'm going to repeat that quote at the top of the show. An armed society is a polite society. Manners are good when one may have to back up his acts with his life. Robert A. Heinlein. That is from a Heinlein sci-fi book. It doesn't matter. It is a valid statement. It is the reality. When everyone is armed, people are on their better manners. As also discussed on Trigger Talk in the past, it's not like the old spaghetti westerns on TV in the old West where everybody was strapping and there was a shootout every 5 seconds. That's not how it works, except for in the movies. Yeah, an occasional shootout at the OK Corral, 2 people engaging, 2 consenting adults settling their differences via a duel. Is that really a problem? I really don't get how that would really be a problem if 2 people want to have a shootout against each other, not shooting innocent people. And as I just spoke with Cy Young in a special CTP midweek drop where we talk about the need for more upbeat and positive entertainment. And that was one of the rabbit holes we went down, was thou shalt not murder is the real proper context, as is Matthew 7, condemn not lest ye be condemned, because there is a dozen other scriptures that tell you exactly to judge biblically on one standard. Biblically, not be a hypocrite. Hold yourself and others to the same biblical set of standards. The spaghetti western thing. Indeed, you walk into a saloon where everybody's armed. It is really stupid to draw on an innocent person. Thou shalt not murder innocents, because a whole room of other people are going to draw down on you to stop you. Hence the Henkin quote. That's proper. An armed society is a polite society. That's why the criminals go to the gun-free slaughter zones, where they won't be confronted. This is simple stuff, just basic common sense, but yet some cannot get it, and it is biblical. The other thing, I'm going to flip through my pages so I get it right, because I know when I spoke with Cy and we were talking, thou shalt not murder innocents, it's different, thou shalt not kill, because in certain instances, killing is okay in the Bible. For example, the death penalty is biblical. And when talking to Cy, I goofed, I misquoted. I said, look at Genesis, Deuteronomy, and Leviticus. Well, it's Genesis, Numbers, and Leviticus. Genesis 9:6, the important one, whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. The death penalty. It's in there. It's biblical. Killing innocent, unborn children, not biblical. As also is self-defense. Exodus 22:2. If a thief is caught breaking in at night, and of course, night here in that sense is metaphorical. If it happens during the day, in law we have today, and I'm sure Jesus would agree, it doesn't matter if it's day or night, and is struck a fatal blow, the intruder, the would-be robber, the would-be potential murderer or rapist of your family is struck a fatal blow, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. Our American laws are based on biblical tenets, our Judeo-Christian ethos foundations. Whether you like it or not, atheists, that's how it is. That's the way it is. That's the way it should be. Because if someone breaks into your home, you don't know their intent. You can't be a mind reader. If you make it known your presence and they don't skedaddle, if you make it known I am armed in some way, I will defend myself, my family, and my property, and they still don't skedaddle, then it's safe to make the assumption. Why would you not make the assumption they are willing to kill for what they want, and you would be the killee to that killer, as well as potentially your spouse and your children? So yes, you can, could, and should defend yourself. Now, opening a 30-round clip into somebody, yeah, now that's would be deemed other than just self-defense in the law. All right, you need to stop the threat, and that's it. You don't want to be a murderer yourself. But if in defense of yourself, you under Exodus 22:2 and most states' laws, if under self-defense you accidentally kill the person, you're not guilty of murder. That is an exception to the murder laws. I mentioned don't empty a 30-round clip. So let's cover again. I'll read this so I get it right, okay? And let's just very quickly dispel the whole you don't need 30 shots to kill a deer moron crowd devoid of any concept why the USA Constitution Second Amendment was created. Nor do you need 30 shots to stop a single intruder, right? Duh. However, you don't know if there's 1, 10, 30 people showing up at your door, breaking in. You have to be prepared for the worst. However, you do to stop for those roving criminal gangs that may come, all potentially illegally armed, because you on the left, criminals, do not obey your dumb gun-free slaughter zone laws, and they may come in the dozens. Since especially now you refuse on the left.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ed Bondarenka, and I host Your American Heritage on Saturdays at 2 in the afternoon on this station. Your American Heritage is a show about the struggle we find ourselves in and how to react to it in the light of our biblical and American heritage. Listen to it while you're working around the house, the garage, cleaning the guns, walking the dog, driving, or just lazing around. Join me at 2 o'clock Saturdays here on Wham Radio, 1600 AM, 92.7 FM.
God bless America.
To lock away criminals. They're right back out on the street to commit ever more and higher escalating crimes. The left loves to cry about guns, guns, guns. We need more gun laws. Well, the fact of the matter is, most of your DA, your Soros prosecutors and DAs and the like, plea bargain away the gun charges that they could and should be locked away for. So you're not enforcing the gun laws we have, but yet you're always crying, we need more gun laws, because, of course, the real bottom line here is that you want to completely disarm society so that the fascocrats can have their boot on the throat of everyone with no real potential pushback. Every tyrant in the history of time, whether it be swords or knives or guns, disarms the citizens so they can lord over as a tyrant, as a fascist, as a socialist, as a communist, as a whatever. Continuing. Ask those at Ruby Ridge and ask those at the Bundy's Ranch more recently, whom luckily, by having force of others with them who were armed, avoided being Ruby Ridged, slaughtered by our own government when they were no real threat. If there was a need to arrest someone like Weaver of Ruby Ridge, his patterns were known. He could have arrested him off property. They didn't do it. David Koresh, remember the Waco Janet Rio slaughter of the Branch Davidians? They could have arrested David Koresh. I think it was like every Thursday he went to some record shop or something. So there's no need for these armed SWAT raids on these compounds to arrest one person, if it's even a valid arrest, which a lot of the times it's not. At any rate. Oh, there's another one. Is that we up to 6 now? Since this is a part 2 there isn't really a huge need to go on and on and on. Please go over to thelibertybeacon.com and indeed check out the correlating God and Guns Redo piece over at thelibertybeacon.com. In there, you will find embedded my discussion with Cy Young about entertainment, but there's a bunch of rabbit holes we go down that are well worth your listening to, including the thou shalt not murder versus thou shalt not kill, as well as an embedded video of the original CTP. I forget what season 1, but I forget exactly off the top of my head. Let me look through my notes, actually. That'll be in my notes. So, cue the Jeopardy theme while I stall for time here. Here it is. Oops. Nope. I don't have it in there either yet. I've got to look it up what episode it is so that it'll be properly noted over on the Liberty Beacon. And also there's an embedded image that was in the original God and Guns piece. To wrap things up, Dick Kupke of Trigger Talk, whamradio.com. You could go there, listen live to any show any day of the week. I usually participate in the Saturday shows as a caller. And indeed, we covered this ground, which then made me think it was time to do a God and Guns redo. And especially if nothing else, to mention that quote and its real bearing, whether it was a fictional quote, a quote from a fictional book or not, doesn't make it any less relevant to reality and today's world. So it was important in my mind that we did that. And again, if you're tuning in late, if you're seeing the behind the scenes video, Leonard, the man, the myth, the legend shirt, yes, it's tongue in cheek. Please, it's tongue-in-cheek. It's laughing at myself, poking fun at myself, because there are so many people that are so darn consumed with themselves. That's a whole other show we could do on hubris and pride. But that image, I can state, it's a meme. On one part of the image, it's got a woman crying. And the other contrast, or the other side of the coin, the other part of the image, it shows a woman pulling a gun from her purse, clearly armed. And the caption reads, Democrats want to make sure you have the right to have an abortion if you get raped. Republicans, conservatives, I dare say, ChristiTutionalists, I dare say, want to make sure you can have a gun to prevent the rape from happening. Wouldn't that be better? How about we stop the rapes? Because I had one idiot on Gab one time, Gab social media, when we were talking about these issues, and I shared that meme. But someone on Gab said, a gun doesn't stop all crimes. Well, we can't stop all rapes from happening. Does that mean we shouldn't try to stop as many rapes as we can? Carjacking. You're probably never going to get rid of all of them, but does that mean we just don't bother to prosecute carjackings at all? The left, and they're devoid of any reason and logic, is just amazing. So thank you for tuning in to God and Guns Redo, Season 1, Episode 44. Do I have next week planned? I don't have next week's show planned yet. Otherwise, I was going to give you a heads up as to what was coming next. So guess what? It's going to be a surprise to me, too. I don't have next week's show planned yet. Sometimes these things are planned out weeks in advance. Sometimes I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I hope that's an appeal to you in this audience, that, you know, I'm not some staged, fake, fraud, phony, scripted, corporate podcaster who's handed stuff each week. Here, you're going to do this. Here, no, this show is ours. So by all means, go to josephmleonard.us. And again, Leonard is without an O. It looks like Leonard. It's not French. Joseph M. Leonard, no O in Leonard.us. You can hit the contact tab. Reach out to me if you've got a suggestion for the show, or if you want to come on the show and provide listener feedback. I'm not perfect. I've said this over and over again. I just said it with Cy Young on the special that just dropped a few days ago, Wednesday the 17th, as a matter of fact. I'm actually recording this on Tuesday. Shh, don't tell anybody. I'm recording this Tuesday the 17th. The show with Cy is dropping on the 18th. I'll actually be dropping it tomorrow, but you can find it on the YouTube behind the scenes there today. Too late. You'll be hearing this on Saturday now. Thank you for tuning in. Please tell your friends about this show. We need to create a ChristiTutionalist movement. 30 to 50 million supposed Christians aren't even registered to vote. You shall be known by your fruits. You've got to get off your butt and be involved. You've got to at least vote, and voting isn't enough. You need to be involved year-round to really know what's going on. If you're complaining about candidates in November, I know this is a completely different rabbit hole, but it's too late. You've got to be involved in the winter to get good candidates for the spring primaries, so we have better candidates in the fall to be able to vote for. That's enough rabbit holes, I should say, for one episode here. I've gone off track enough. Thank you all. Take care. God bless.
Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, no fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show.
Just wanted to give a brief shout out and thank you to all the folks on iHeartRadio and Player FM for being 2 in the top 3 platforms that my show, ChristiTutionalist Politics, is most often listened to. So thank you all. Take care. God bless.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.